Hello YouTube. I never thought I'd have to make this video, but hell froze over on election day and Proposition 8 actually passed, and gay marriage is now banned in California. Yes, you heard right. Gay marriage is now banned in California of all states. Watch out now for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Folks, I knew since the 2004 election was won, in part because of God supposedly hating fags, that homophobia is a serious problem. But with the passage of this divisive, trivial, and unnecessary initiative, the problem may be far worse than I've ever imagined. In honor of this unfortunate occasion, in no particular order as they're all equally ridiculous, I will debunk the top 10 or 20, I haven't decided on the number yet, logical fallacies and absurdities used to justify shameful efforts to exploit unfairly scapegoat gays. If gays are allowed to get married, then the human race will become extinct because everyone will turn gay. That's fallacy number 1. Acceptance of homosexuality is not new. Several civilizations dating back thousands of years accepted homosexual behavior, with the ancient Greeks and Romans being the most well-known. Yet they somehow did not disappear, as they still have living ancestors even after all these thousands of years. Another fallacy which plays into this is that the fall of the Roman Empire was caused in large part because of its acceptance of homosexuality. That is false. Any credible historian will tell you, Rome fell because, like other empires before it, it overextended itself. Rome has engaged in so many military misadventures and campaigns that it stretched its own military and economic might to the breaking point. This would have happened regardless of whether or not homosexuality was mainstream in Roman society. In addition, many species of animals have been observed engaging in homosexual behavior, including but not limited to African elephants, brown bears, brown rats, buffaloes, caribous, domestic dogs and cats, cheetahs, common dolphins, common marmosets, common raccoons, European bison, bonobo monkeys, chickens, common gulls, emus, king penguins, and has even been observed in species of fish such as Amazon mollies, black-striped top minnows, blue-gull sunfish, char, graylings, European bitterlings, green swordtail, guinea leaffish, howling whitefish, jewelfish, least darter, mouth-breathing fish, salmon, southern platyfish, 10-spined stickleback, 3-spined stickleback, and even some insects have engaged in homosexual behavior, but I'm tired of reading off names, so use the Google to look it up if you must. Granted, this is not a good moral justification for homosexuality or anything else, but it still begs the question. If acceptance of homosexuality means the doom of the species, then why are we and every animal who has ever engaged in homosexual behavior still here? And what about heterosexual couples that can't have children? Some couples are too old to produce children, and some of childbearing age are, for whatever reason, sterile. If making babies is the primary purpose of marriage, then aren't these people also threatening the sanctity of marriage with their unions? Fallacy number 2. Gay marriage is a threat to freedom of religion. According to this fallacy, gay marriage is a threat to religious freedom because, if it's legalized, churches will eventually be forced to accept them. History, though, has shown otherwise. Divorce, for example, has for most, if not all, of the history of this republic, including colonial times, been legal, and there is yet to be any major effort to force religious groups such as the Catholic Church, which disagree with divorce, to recognize it. And more recently, with the repeal of anti-miscegenation laws, there's yet to be any major effort to force religious groups which disagree with interracial marriages to recognize those marriages either. Many Orthodox Jewish denominations, for example, do not recognize marriages between Jews and Gentiles, but the state's yet to force them to recognize those. Fallacy number 3. Gay marriage will inevitably lead to polygamy, pedophilia, incest, bestiality, and necrophilia. Lovely. Yes, there are people out there that really are stupid enough to make this argument, and people stupid enough to believe it. This classic was made famous a few years back when former Senator Rick Man-on-Dog Santorum compared homosexuality to, quote, man-on-dog sex. His words, not mine. Because of this and other partisan stunts, Pennsylvania voters threw his sorry ass out of office in the 2006 congressional elections, and he will forever be known as Rick Man-on-Dog Santorum, and even has a sexual term named in his dishonor from the mind of sex columnist Dan Savage, called a Santorum. which is, according to UrbanDictionary.com, quote, the sometimes frothy, usually slimy amalgam of lubricant, stray fecal matter, and ejaculate that leaks out of the receiving partner's anus after a session of anal intercourse. I always knew that the senator was a real pain in the ass. Ha! Sadly, this fallacy's been uttered and believed, as I've said earlier, by more than just one idiot who unfortunately served in the Senate. Anyway, that is one of the most heinous, that's heinous, not anus, you perverts, heinous misuses of the slippery slope argument in recent history. A slippery slope which gay marriage opponents say is greased with an endless supply of Santorum, and not just the former senator. Anybody with an ounce of common sense knows that this argument has a big gaping hole in it, one that is thankfully lacking in Santorum. Seriously, this argument is complete bullshit. Firstly, assuming for the sake of argument that homosexuality is in fact wrong, then what exactly makes it more immoral than the other lovely sexual activities it was compared to in this fallacy? Let's start with polygamy. Let's face it, folks, in just about every society that has embraced polygamy, women are treated as an unholy combination of sexual slaves, house slaves, and baby makers, whose husbands only let them open their mouths to... Come on, folks, you can use your imagination, can't you? Come on. With pedophilia, even assuming a child is in their teens, a child is still a child, and most children are not mature enough to handle the consequences of sexual activity, especially the young ones, really young ones. Even many adults are not mature enough to deal with it, I might add. And with the unequal balance of power between the adult and the minor, exploitation is very, very easy. The kind of exploitation that could haunt the child for the rest of their life. Incest is wrong because if, God forbid, a pregnancy results from it, you're much more likely to have frankenkids. And bestiality, like pedophilia, also has issues of consent. As nobody can actually talk to animals, there is no way to prove whether or not said sexual activity was consensual or not. And come on, necrophilia, that means one party is dead. You guys know that, right? And there's the chance is diseases spreading, as in people not involved in the act, as a rotting corpse is not exactly the most sanitary thing in the world. Secondly, homosexuality in general, wrong or not, at least does not have those issues, and knowing that it does not, exactly what justification other than this and other fallacies is there for unconstitutional, unwarranted intrusions into people's bedrooms like Prop 8? Which brings me to fallacy number 4. Gay marriage should be banned because public schools are teaching our kids about homosexuality, and this will become more common with gay marriage legal. I first heard this fallacy in a commercial supporting Prop 8. In this commercial to parents who were talking about how their kids' elementary school had their kids' class read a children's book about two boys falling in love. Assuming for the sake of argument that this does in fact happen, which I'm sure it does in some isolated cases in places like San Francisco, but assuming that is as widespread as gay marriage opponents have claimed, exactly how is banning gay marriage any different than that? In both cases, the rights of people have been violated by overzealous partisans on the far fringes of the political spectrum. Rights are a two-way street, folks. Gay marriage opponents have a right to believe that homosexuality is a sin against their God, and raise their children to believe the same, on the condition, of course, they don't teach them to use violence against them. And gays have the right to their own private affairs, so long as they keep it in the bedroom, please. These rights need not contradict. In fact, they need each other in order to thrive. It is, as French Enlightenment thinker Voltaire once said, I disapprove of what you say, but will defend to the death your right to say it. Gay marriage opponents do not have to approve of homosexuality, but they must respect the rights of their homosexual brothers and sisters to pursue their relationships free of government interference, and gay marriage supporters do not have to approve of anti-gay sentiments, but must respect the right to express any such sentiments as long as it does not interfere with their rights. That's all the logical fallacies I have time for now. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video for some more anti-gay marriage fallacies and my response.